Mom.
This is Ebony MacArthur, the Working Mom podcast, and I'm here with none other than the EyeAmBrand CEO, Mhonte, aka my firstborn, aka my oldest son. And we just came up with an idea of coming to you guys with some Financial Friday tips each and every Friday, even if it's just some clips that we drop, just kind of trying to drop some knowledge and some information. And today we kind of wanted to talk about keys to a money mindset. Mhonte and I always have tons of conversations about all types of different things. I'm obviously deep into building wealth through real estate. Mhonte as well, deep into all types of investments. He's an expert in day trading, an expert in the Forex market, and just has so many great gems that he shares with his team. And again, I thought it was a great idea for us to mesh the two worlds together and kind of discuss. But first, we wanted to start with just getting into that mindset. We feel like it's so many people that are starting businesses and they just want to deep dive in, but their mindset is not even prepared for what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to invest, be a trader, get into the stock market, start doing real estate investing, become a licensed realtor, and just to learn those keys. So I'm going to toss it over to Mhonte just to kind of talk about some things about, what do we need to do as entrepreneurs, investors, wealth builders to start, what are the keys to getting into that money mindset? Like, what's some ideas that we can share with others?
First, I would say that getting into your money mindset is basically like your day-to-day routine, your day-to-day life. Like, it really starts with you. Like, you can have as much money as you want or as little money as you want, but investing will never go the way you want, and especially investing to build and create generational wealth. If you don't do your best to change as much as you need to as a person. So some people might need to change more than others because some people might have more resources around them. Like, some people might have people in their ear telling them, hey, go purchase this coin if they talking about cryptos or something like that. Or, hey, look at the properties over here if they doing real estate. And then some people might just be getting into the door or never even heard of it before. Like, let's say if you tell somebody something about NFT or the metaverse, they might be like, the metaverse, so they don't really know. So you really just got to kind of shift your mindset to like want to be around people who are willing to help you and people who are like-minded. But I would say mainly the money mindset would start within your daily routine, like things you do every day. How do you wake up in the morning, from making your bed to do you plan for the next day? Like, I know a lot of people, I watch podcasts a lot, and I hear a lot of people say all the time, the way that I start my day off is I plan for my morning the night before. So I think daily routine is a big one when you're talking about money mindset, because once you finally get into that daily routine, it'll kind of like, once you shift your daily routine, it'll kind of get you out your comfort zone, but it's for the better. Like, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So once I learned that, I was able to deep dive more into investing, and I'm still learning a ton. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but of course I'm trying to get there, and I'm definitely like always a student. Like, even if it's dealing with Forex or real estate or cryptocurrency, anything like that, like always being a student first and just being receptive to the information.
Yeah, I highly agree. When I do my training with my realtors, one of the first things I go over in week 1 of our boot camp is getting into a daily routine. And you'd be surprised how many people just don't know how to get into a routine. Like, they're, live their lives with no schedule, no kind of structure to it. They just kind of get up and let the day tell them how it should go instead of them sticking to the structure of their day. As well as time management. Obviously, that's a huge part of setting your daily routine. So what I do is I usually give them actual schedules, and I highly recommend, and I give sample schedules. So I highly recommend people starting to do a sample schedule and kind of including different things into their day. So, and make it realistic so that you really do it. Because that's another thing that people get into, like creating these unrealistic paths that they know they can't do. Like, I'm gonna work out at 3 a.m. Like, you're not a 3 a.m. person, so that doesn't make sense. And typically I do my training with my team a lot of times on Wednesdays, even if it's a morning session as well as an evening session. Sometimes I may do 3 sessions that day. But I personally prefer Wednesdays because I meet with my trainer at 6 a.m. every Wednesday. So I know that kind of already gets me going. I know after I meet with my trainer, I don't have time to come back home, do hair and makeup, go back out and meet a lot of clients that day. And technically, I probably could, but it makes it a little too combative for my day. So what I do is I'll stick a bunch of training on that day on the calendar. So I highly recommend people doing that as well. And just getting in a structure of their day. So kind of literally setting a schedule for yourself. So just say, from 7 to 8, you prepare breakfast for the children, get everybody out for school by 8:30, by 9 a.m., you're ready to come back home. And this is obviously for people that may be full-time or even have those 1 or 2 days a week they may not work. Like, take advantage of those days. If sometimes people work a 12-hour shift but have 1 or 2 days off a week. So I would recommend, setting that time, and maybe you do training from 9 to 10, prospect from 10:30 to 11, like really setting that day. And even if it's something very simple, like say it's an off day, like today, it's a Saturday, we're recording, but I don't really have a bunch of clients on my schedule. But let's just say that I decide to just make a day that I'm going to the mall, or I'm just going to the grocery store, I need to cook dinner or anything of that nature. Then what I typically do is, if I know I need to stay structured that day, I'll even set an alarm in my phone that says like, hey, from 11 to 12:30 is the longest I can be in Walmart. You know what I'm saying? So it reminds me while I'm in there moving all around that I really don't have all day to be in the store. And I see people sometimes get so caught up in that where like, I end up doing such and such, and I've been in there all day, but I didn't really mean to. Or like phone calls or meetings, just like setting a structure to it. Right. And next, I'll let you talk about a little bit. I had on my list accountability, so I'll let you talk a little bit about like what's your thoughts on entrepreneurs, business owners getting in that money mindset to start any new venture and investments, and just basically accountability within themselves.
Well, really everything you just said, from even like the off days, how now we're just recording, and the schedule, like it really all comes back to yourself. So you holding yourself accountable, and even like the people around you matter as well. Like in my circle, like we hold each other accountable. We make sure every day, like, hey, what y'all got going on today? How was you productive? Or we'll come together at the end of the day and like, hey, what you did today that was productive? What's your routine? Stuff like that. And just the self accountability comes with, like you said, if you know you're a person that run an errand and it takes you 2 hours, then you probably shouldn't plan to do a conference call at that time, because now you're running behind. And like just planning your stuff out and knowing the type of person you are. If you're a procrastinator, then you should know to get it done early or set a bunch of alarms. Like I know me, sometimes I'll procrastinate. So like you said, I will set a ton of alarms. I'll have 3 alarms on my phone. I'll have one set on Alexa. I'll have alarms in my notes. I'll have it pop up as a reminder on my phone. So all of that really comes into accountability, and really just like being able to manage your time and manage your schedule, and just being able to do everything that you're saying you're going to do, and getting deeper into it a little bit. Kind of like, I feel like the way to help with that would be writing stuff down. Like that's how I really can see like my elevation in the entrepreneurship and investing, all of that money mindset change, because I'm starting to like to do the things that like was kind of uncomfortable at first. Like when everybody was saying, oh, write your stuff down, like it'll help if you write it down. I'm a manifestation type of person, so I like to speak things into the universe. But if you come in my house now, like, and when I was 16 or 15, I would never be able to tell you at the age of 24, when you walk in my house, you're going to see a whiteboard here. I got 3 whiteboards in the house. I got Post-it notes. I got 2 books. I got a printer. Like all of this stuff is just like creating what I'm aiming for in life. Like what my goal with you writing stuff down. Because I know every day, even if I got it on my phone, sometimes I might not check my notes, even if I'm on my phone. But if I walk into the kitchen, I know I'm going to see this big whiteboard right there. Okay, I got to pay these bills. I got to get on the call at 2:30. I got to mentor somebody at 5 o'clock. I got to make sure I go to the gym. All of that is included. And I'm glad you even brought up the gym, because like I was back to the daily routine. all of this is still a part of accountability. Like, if you know you're a morning person, then get up early, start your day. I even heard Kevin Gates say the other day, and it actually made me laugh because I'm the type of person, I'm really not too much of a morning person, mainly because I'm a night owl. So I might not go to sleep till like 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I really don't be like, I still get up around like 9, but it'll take me a minute to get up. So he was like, he set his alarm early because he like to get up, make his coffee, listen to the music, like give yourself time to, okay, let me get 30 minutes to get the crust out my eye and all that. You don't want to get on a conference call like, good morning, yawning and everything. So you just being accountable, knowing the type of person that you are. Like, don't be unrealistic. Don't say, oh, I'm going to go and invest and I'm going to have $50,000 in 14 days if you know you don't even have half of that to invest in. Or don't go say, I'm going to go get me 3 mentees today if you know you're an introvert or you don't even like to talk to people. Like, you got to take the proper steps to get to where you're trying to go and just be realistic with yourself. Most of the time, like, one of my biggest tips I really can give is run your own race, because looking at social media and stuff like that is not realistic. A lot of people are looking at celebrities and all of these famous people, and they seeing what they're doing, especially at a young age now. Like, you might get on Facebook or Instagram or something and see somebody that's 22 years old with $22 million. And now you're like, I'm 22 years old and I only got $100. What am I doing wrong? Oh my gosh. Like, just run your own race, have faith, and I firmly believe in putting grind behind your prayer. Like, no matter who you pray to, your higher power, like, if you're not putting no grind and hustle behind it with the consistency, then you're really just hoping for a wish on a shooting star. But if you betting on yourself and you actually putting that grind and consistency behind it, holding yourself accountable, that I'm going to get this done. I wrote it down, so I'm going to get it done. And you can just check them off one by one. And you'll see at the end of the year that, hey, I did accomplish all of these. I might not have got that one. I might not have got one on the list, but I did the other 4. So that's a brick. You're just going brick by brick, step by step. And eventually you're going to see yourself going up the elevator like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I literally cannot live without my goals and my list and writing things down. So I don't know, that's probably where you got it from, seeing me do it all the time for years, but I cannot function that way. And I'm a type of person that, you know, if I'm grinding, I'm working, I'm, you know, going at it daily, up all day, up all night, you know, just trying to reach this goal, I have to personally see something happen. Like, so for me, it's kind of difficult to do all of these things and feel like I'm not accomplishing anything. So that's why I think writing things down is so vital when you get into that mindset, because like you said, now you have a list of things and you can literally, and I always tell people, because sometimes they want to take it, you know, if, you know, this is number 1 and this is number 2, they try to do it in that order. And life doesn't happen that way. These are the 10 things that I'm trying to accomplish this year. That's how I pretty much said it. So one thing might slip into the path, you know, number 5 might happen before number 3. I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when I'm doing number 3, I might slip into, you know, another successful move or setting another appointment with a client that I didn't even have planned to do that's on my goal list. And because of whatever I did for that action, something else may come about. So I really don't suggest trying to be so structured with it where you kind of feel like, you know, well, I'm doing it this first. I want to, because I hear that a lot when I'm training people. So say someone says, you know, I want to try to get my real estate license, but first I want to, you know, try to make sure I wash all the clothes today. And then they literally say, well, I can't start yet because I still have 3 piles of clothes that I need to do. Like, it doesn't work like that. Go online, get yourself registered. You don't even know what day your class will start. Like, you'll have plenty of time in between to get yourself ready, get yourself prepared. And that's another thing I never do. I'm never in a rush. Like, I'm never, you know, speeding to get to the next appointment. I always feel like I had plenty of time, meaning from point A to point B to next appointment. Like, yes, sometimes even if I really pack my day in, full of appointments, full of clients that I need to meet with, things I need to do, family stuff and so forth, the reason why I can get it all done, because I get that question all the time, like, I don't know how Ebony does everything. And it's very simple. I have the same amount of time that, God gave me the same amount of time. I don't have a special hour or 2 tucked in the side, that I just pull out when I get into a tight space. Like, it really is the same amount of time that everybody else has. I try to structure my day giving myself more than enough time. And I even, again, schedule times for that space or that gap to make sure I don't have to rush. So like you said, if it's getting up an hour early, making sure, I do everything I need to do, make sure I have my juice made, my protein shake. I'm a heavy protein shaker, so I got to get my protein shake in me in the morning, and just things that I know make my day, as successful as I possibly can. Then again, that's getting in that mindset. I don't wake up and like, oh, another day, I got to do this again. I absolutely hate it. You know what I'm saying? That's not the mindset that I wake up in. I wake up, ready to take on my day, because I know I can look at my phone and see, my calendar, what I have structured for that day. But like you said, I don't write things down in my phone. I make sure things are written down on paper where I can see it, because, number one, we all trying to get away having the phones in our hands all day, every day. And I mean, as an entrepreneur, sometimes that is really hard, running several businesses. We know, our phones are our operation right now. We make a lot of money through our phones, so we need our phones. But I definitely will say that it's just something where structuring that day constantly and just making sure, like, no matter what happens. Sometimes I was telling somebody the other day, we had went out for lunch. And I was saying, like, I come here all the time for lunch, and I usually will set a little time in my day in between appointments to make sure I eat. And that might sound crazy, but when you get busy and you're in the flow of things, you don't want to get to a point where now, because if you don't eat and you're moving, now you got a headache. Now you don't feel good. Now the rest of your day can go completely downhill. So, I have sometimes my clients are like, well, Ebony, what do? You just constantly moving. But I have crackers in my car. I have snacks. Like, I prepare myself for the chaos. So sometimes I tell people, it may seem chaotic to you, but I always jokingly say that it's organized chaos, because trust me, it's very organized when I'm doing everything. I'm really not all over the place. And that kind of takes us into the next topic on money mindset, which is just basically self-discipline, which falls under all of that. But so many people just don't have discipline. And I say personally that if somebody was to ask me my best attribute, like what is something that I love about myself, it really wouldn't be a feature. I wouldn't say like my eyes or, my smile. I would really say that I'm so disciplined, and I don't let myself down. So that's one thing that I tell people all the time when I'm training them. Somebody else could easily let you down, family, friends, spouse, but whatever situation you may be in, you might be like, all right, I always feel like people letting me down. But I made a promise to myself 25 years ago, the age of my son, almost 25 years ago, almost, that I'm never going to let myself down. I control me. I control my destiny. I control my day. And just staying self-disciplined in anything that I do, and just making sure that I have that discipline no matter what. And like I said, I'm not letting myself down. That's just something really big for me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Self-discipline, like I said, if you come in my house, there's plenty of whiteboards, post-it notes. Like, if I just type the word discipline, like in my iMessage, it probably will come up so many different messages, because that's what me and my circle like talks about. Like, that's basically one of the biggest, like, star X this off, beside it, everything, circle it. Like, discipline is like at the top of when we come to the table and we putting ideas and stuff together. Consistency and discipline go hand in hand, because no matter what you're doing, like, if you're consistent with it, you're gonna get to where you need to go. And if you're disciplined with it, you're gonna get to where you need to go. That comes from even those I call them mental health days. So if you need, like, okay, I might get burnt out 7 days out the week, not me personally, but somebody else. They might can't go. Okay, I see what Ebony's doing, but I can't go 7 days a week. Like, I know myself. Like, you got to know your own limits. Like, you can't just say, okay, I see someone else doing this, so let me do it. You got to know your own limits, and being disciplined comes within that. Like, if you need a mental health day, take that mental health day. Or if okay, I'm trying to ease something else into, like, for myself, for example, reading books. Like, let's say if I do have a free day or some free time, rather than, like, I don't own a PlayStation or a video game or none of that, so I don't play games and stuff. I'll rather, like, watch a podcast or something. But now, like, my thing is reading a book a month, and I done broke it down because I know myself. So the way I've tricked my mind into reading a book a month is like, okay, if I read a chapter a day, most books probably don't have 30 plus chapters. So even one chapter a day will get you through a book a month, and you just tricked yourself. And now you finish the book like that. I'm currently reading a book by Mark Manson right now. And sometimes I'll like sit here and be like watching my podcast or something. And if I be like, I need to read my chapter today, I need to read it. So what I'll do is I'll trick my mind, I'll take my book and I'll just sit it right beside me. And I'll just keep looking at it like I see the book right here. Like I'll sit it right beside me and I know I'm like, all right, let me read it. And then once I like read the first page, then I'll be into it. And then 30 minutes later, I'm like, all right, I just finished the chapter. Like you just gotta really know yourself. Like discipline is all. That's why I'm big on self-discipline. Like you said, plenty of people gonna let you down in the world. Like you're not ready for letdowns. You're not ready for people to tell you no. You're not ready for things like that. Then you're really not ready to go to that next level. But the self-discipline, like I know if one of my mentees not able to do something, or somebody who was trying to do this not able to get it done, or somebody tells me no, I'm gonna turn around and get it done for myself. Like that's just the belief I have, the faith in myself. Like I'm gonna bet on myself every single time, because if you're not gonna bet on yourself, why should a big investor come and say, here's $100 million, let me invest in your business, if you're not even investing in yourself or betting on yourself? And that all really starts with the self-discipline.
Yeah, and I heard you say the word consistency, which was our, next step with keys to money mindset. And I mean, that's exactly what it is. I don't care what you're trying to do. I don't care what your strategy is. I hear people say that all the time. Like, what do you use for marketing? What do you use for advertising? I promise you, almost anything that you use, if you stay consistent with it, it will work. The reason why it doesn't work is because people will do it 1 or 2 times and then feel as though they're not getting the return, they're not getting the likes, they're not getting the shares on social media. I even had somebody say to me one time, like, did you buy followers on your Facebook? Like if you have 5,000 people, but some posts only have, 2 or 3 likes, then, they're so afraid that maybe they're not watching or they're not looking. I'm like, well, it's ways to test the algorithm, but they're all real people. They're all real followers. Every post doesn't get, 100, 300 or 1,000 people. It doesn't frighten me because I know how to test the algorithms, and we know certain things that we can put up there that just draws people's attention. Sometimes everybody won't click on when you start talking about your new business. Don't get discouraged. Sometimes people won't always share when you're talking about your new investment and you're not talking about gossip or, your outfit for the week or just things that, will draw people's attention, because that's not the attention you're trying to draw. So just making sure you stay consistent no matter what and just stay at it. And even if you add another marketing plan, that's fine as well. But if you have this one going, let it run 6 months, let it run 12 months before you decide it doesn't work. And a lot of times people don't want to do that. And as well, I heard you mention investing yourself. Sometimes that takes a little bit. And I ask my team a lot of times at the end of the year, I say, how much have you invested in your business this year? You can't turn around and say, I want to be a 6-figure earner or multi-6-figure earner and say, I've invested 0 into my business. Like, that's probably not going to work. I don't know if you're ever going to get to that piece. And I mean, it's a hard thing to tell somebody, but, I invest a lot into myself. I invest a lot into what I do on a regular basis, not just sometimes. On a regular basis, I'm constantly investing. And I heard you say something about the book. Right now, I just started the 48 Laws of Power. I've had that book in my Audible for so long. And I never finished it. So I always listen to podcasts the same way all the time. And I was just in the car the other day and was like, you know what? I'm starting back the 48 Laws of Power, because I feel like I was only on like chapter 4 or chapter 5, because that's something that I really wanted to get done. And that's even crazy for me to start a book in the middle of my semester, because I have a lot already that I need to read and go through in my PhD program. But again, I do have that time when I'm in the car, and I don't really like to listen to a lot of music. Sometimes I might be in the mood for a little bit of music, but it's very rare for me. I prefer to, again, multitask, because I'm reaching a goal right now. I'm kind of really focused on a lot of different things. And again, we only have 24 hours. And I heard a comedian say, and I believe it was Cat Williams. I went to the Cat Williams show not that long ago, and he said something that was very interesting. He said, a lot of people say that it's 24 hours in a day, and then they like to, break it down and kind of say between their work hours and say versus their time. And once they get off of work, if somebody has a 9 to 5 and say they're working, 8 to 10 hours. And he said that he thinks it's a mindset when people say you have, 24 hours in a day, because if you have 24 hours in a day, then where is night? And when he broke it down to the next level, he kind of said, if we even broke it down to say 12 hours was technically in a day and 12 hours was technically in the night, then he feels like more people would be self-employed go-getters or entrepreneurs, because if you work 9 to 5 and you realize it's really only 12 hours in a day and you spend 8 of them at your job, another hour or two getting back and forth to pick up your kids, then now it kind of moves your mindset to be like, wait a minute, I spent my 12 hours in my day working for somebody else. I spent my 12 hours in my day doing something that doesn't feed me, doesn't make me happy. So that's why he said in his skit, kind of like everything has put in our mindset again that we have 24 hours in a day, where that's really not realistic. And I know it's like that no sleep campaign and this, that, and the other, but I'm sure that even those entrepreneurs of old that used to run, until they just couldn't go anymore. For example, I know that kind of started with Diddy. People used to always say that Diddy was like a no sleep kind of, even back to when he was an intern, just go, go, go. But if you follow Diddy on his Instagram now, he talks a lot about self-care and taking that mental health day, taking those breaks to get some sleep. Like, the truth is, in order to be the best me, I have to sleep. I'm not going to sleep all day, but even if it's 4 hours, 5 hours, I can't just go 24 hours. So putting that into my day as well is just kind of getting into that mindset. Like, I'm not going to burn myself out on any day because I know I'm not as productive. So it's no reason for me to be up, with no sleep. 24 hours have passed and I'm still up just trying to write a paper, just trying to call prospects, trying to answer emails. Like, it's too much. I can take a small break, get my mindset reset, get back on what I need to get done, and I can do it more productive at that point. So I love, just making sure that I'm implementing self-care. And that's a reason why I do my personal trainer every Wednesday. I go to my trainer because that's a part of my self-care. So even though it's working on, not only my mental health, financial health, but my health within myself, like just making sure I'm eating healthier, all of that, going to working out, making sure that my mind and my mental is where it needs to be. I also want to make sure that I'm including that. So when I go with my trainer, and she's just like beating me down, I'm like, hey, take it easy. This is supposed to be self-care. Like, this is not supposed to be where you just like burn me out. But I absolutely love it.
Literally everything you just touched on, like from the schedule to breaking down your day to the sleep. Like, it's this guy I met through network marketing. I actually had a chance to meet him at EyeAmBrand. I used to be a part of a network marketing group, which it was a great experience. Got to meet a lot of people, a lot of high up millionaires, 6 and 7 figure earners, some even 8 that are like under the age of 25. Some of them a bit older. But anyway, the guy name is Mr. Teacup. He actually, his name is actually Ronaldo Perez. We call him Mr. Teacup. He believes in this thing where it's basically like win the second, win the minute, win the hour, win the day, win the week, win the month. So if you know you're going to win the second and win the minute, then you're going to win that hour. And if you can win that hour and consistently win your second and win your minute and win your hour, then you're going to win your day. And eventually it's going, just like I said before, brick by brick. And a bunch of days in a row that you're winning is going to add up to a winning week. And a winning week is going to add up to a winning month. So it is how you just break your time down. And eventually, like, even myself, like, you'll just come to realize, like, I'm doing a lot of time at this place and I don't think that the return is worth what I'm putting in. And you'll start to really see, like, I'm worth more than this. Like, I think I can do a lot more. I can do a lot more. And even getting into the sleep thing, I'm big on, like, I used to be a person who, like I said, I'm a night owl. I'll be up all times of the night. You might text me at 4:30 in the morning and I might be woke. But now I kind of changed that by watching and learning. Like I said, I'm always a student. And like you said, Diddy, and I actually be getting it from Rick Ross. Like, Rick Ross is another person who always go, 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 go. Like, he never was getting no sleep. Every day I'm hustling. He always hustling, getting to it. And he actually had a stroke from it. And now he like, it's good to get your rest. It's good to get your sleep. And I talk about that in my circle. Like, me and my close friends, like even one of my friends from high school, Christian, he always tell me, like, bro, you need to get at least 6 hours of sleep. I know you out here doing this and that, but you need to get your sleep in. So I bring that back to my guys, and I'm like, look, y'all need to get y'all sleep in too. Like my business partner, he currently in Europe, so we in 2 different time zones. He is 7 hours ahead of me. So like right now it's nighttime over there when it's the middle of the day over here. So he'll be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to talk to me at 6 p.m. I'm like, bro, you have to get your sleep, bro. Like I know we be trying to grind and get to it, but like you said, even if I never sleep like 8 hours a day, but even if I just get that 4 hours, I promise it's like a big refresher. My mind is more clear, everything like that. And real fast, just to touch on the discipline and consistency, you said you had touched on like how things might just happen out the random. Like that's my biggest thing with you wanting to be with becoming an entrepreneur, an investor, self-employed, any of that. Like you never know what's going to happen. It's never a right time. You just have to do it. Like people always say, oh, first let me, like you said, finish the laundry, then I'll do this. No, just jump into it, do it. Like you're never ready. You're never ever going to be ready. So just prepare yourself. If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. So if you're doing the little things, you win in a minute, you win in this hour, you win in the day, and you know when that time comes that you're going to be ready to rock and roll. So I give that advice to anyone that's out there that's looking to become an investor or new to investing, new to self-employment, entrepreneurship, anything like that. Like it's never really like as much as we write things down and plan it out, something can always be an audible at any second. You gotta be ready to go on the fly like that. And that's just how it comes. And something else I heard you touch on that I also had written down that I was actually gonna ask you personally, because I know a lot of people out here, like I run into a lot of people who they want to get to the next level, they want to invest, they want to accumulate all of this money and different ways of investing, stuff like that. But I always ask them, like, how much are you really willing to invest in yourself? Like you said, I invest in myself daily. You invest in yourself daily, whether it's financially, mentally, you might need this day. That's investing in yourself. You taking care of your body in the gym, you investing in yourself. You at your best self. But some people don't even want to invest a little bit into themselves. They'll be like, all right, well, I seen you just made $4,000 off your phone from Forex. So what can I do with $20? And I'm just like, realistically, like, what do you think you can do with $20? And actually, I'm gonna touch on that probably on another episode or something, because I just did a $20 challenge. I'm not gonna tell y'all what I flipped the $20 to, but I recorded myself and everything, so I got all the receipts. I started with a $20 account and I flipped it to 3 digits. So I'm gonna touch on that, but definitely, like, what would you say is a good rate? Is there an amount that you are willing to invest in yourself? Like, is it a cap on it? Like, let's say 50% of what you have, would you invest that? Would you bet the house on yourself every time? Would you say 25%? Like me, I'm a big person that's like, scared money don't make none. If you scared to take a chance, how we gonna get rich? So I'm always about taking chances, taking risks. But like I said, I'm also a student, and I forgot who I was watching the other day, but somebody was basically like, take risk, but you want to take as less risk as possible. So when you do take that risk, you want to make sure that risk is going to be worth the reward. I'm not just out here like I'm taking risks in the financial markets. I'm not taking risks that could possibly get me in handcuffs or something like that. Like that's not a smart risk that you want to take. But if I take a risk and put this amount of money in a stock, yes, I'm taking a risk that this stock is going to go up, but I understand why I'm taking this risk. I understand what led me up to this point to take this risk, and I also understand the reward. So like, I think investing in yourself is huge. If you're ready to get into entrepreneurship and you're not ready to invest in yourself, then you're not ready. Sometimes you might hear like somebody might tell you $500 is a lot to invest in yourself. Like some people might be like, $500? Really? And it's like, if you had to put a net worth on yourself, you would say that $500 is a lot to invest back in yourself. So I'm big on investing, especially in the business that I'm in with the trading and all of that. You got to invest in yourself. So I think that just goes like full circle with all entrepreneurs, whether it's real estate, you got to invest in yourself with business cards or signs, or you a fitness trainer. You got to make sure, okay, I got to keep myself intact, my body right. Because when my clients come, I got to be able to produce the same way I'm asking them to produce. So it's always investing in yourself around the board. So do you say that there is a cap to how much you would invest in yourself, or there's no limit to how much you invest in yourself?
I mean, me personally, I really feel like it depends on what stage you're in your career, how much you have to invest. I'm not going to say, take your mortgage money and put it all in. No, you got to be smart, like you said. So even though we having these conversations about different things, it is always, a flip side of everything. So how we say, be disciplined and be structured, but don't be as structured where you can't go with the flow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to use your common sense when it comes to some things as well. Like, if you've done your research on something and this is the next move, but maybe it's not on your goal list and you want to kind of jump into it, don't say, you know what, that wasn't on my goal list. Let me just wait till next year, when you know that right now is the best time for you to be able to take that step. So I always say, be structured, be disciplined, be consistent, but be smart. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that I teach in my week 1 is kind of knowing how to set SMART goals as well. And again, that's something we can deep dive into another video, because that's like a whole nother conversation, is knowing SMART is an actual acronym to be able to know how to set goals. Sometimes I train with people and they don't know how to set a goal. They don't know how to train. They don't know how to study. So that's a whole different piece of it. But at this point, like I said, in my career, I'm willing to invest whatever I need to do to get myself to that level that I'm trying to get to. So if it's 50%, sometimes you create a whole savings account for this one particular thing. And then when the time comes and people are like, they look and say, well, now I have this $100,000 saved, but I don't really want to use it all, because now their mind is, went off to something else. They see this money sitting in a pot. Like, you have to stay focused on, what your goal is and what you want to get accomplished. So sometimes when I am trying to set a goal, I'll know, because I've done my research on what I need to get to that next level. Even investment properties, I get the question all the time, where do you get the money to buy investment properties? I get it from my work. I have to get out and work. So I'm good at saving. That's another thing, Finance Friday tip, budgeting, saving, expense tracking, all that is a part of getting to the next level. So again, I'm not saying take your gas money, take your kids' food money, take your rent or your mortgage money and go invest it. But you have to kind of set a plan for yourself. So if you know that what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish may cost you $5,000, then you need to set a goal to how you're going to get to that amount. So then you're able to invest it. If you know that taking your advertising or your marketing to the next level is going to possibly cost you about $500 per month, then you need to kind of set a plan to where you can get to where maybe you can't implement that marketing today. So I'm not saying, take that risk when you know that it's going to put your family in a situation. But again, it depends on your situation. I'm a mom of 4. I'm a wife. I have a lot of moving parts in my life where, young millennials that, you're a single guy by yourself. You don't have any children. You can move and flex however you want. You can make a decision now to be like, hey, I'm going to take this risk. And when you look at the stock market, anybody that's a heavy investor know that any investment manager will basically suggest the younger that you are, the more risk you should take. And depending on what situation that you're in. So I would say base it off of, your current situation. Be realistic, obviously, with everything that you do. Don't set anything that's unrealistic. But I'm willing to always bet on myself. So again, I'm just that person where, I'm going to do my research. And again, we talked about this earlier before we, hopped on to record, don't be an over researcher either. That's why I say it's just like a balance to everything. Like, don't be, sometimes I have realtors that, they've just trained so much where it's time for them to possibly, take their career to the next level. And they're like, and I have a client that's for them and I'm like, hey, you want to deep dive? And they're like, I wasn't able to call them yet because I was on 10 trainings this week. Like you said, it's a time to put that prayer and put some grind behind it. So everything that you learned, that's okay, but it's time to make that phone call. It's time to take your action steps. So that's why, again, when I do my training, it's not just us talking every week. It's pointless for you to just sit and talk to me if you want to start a real estate career, you want to learn how to build wealth through real estate. I have action steps behind each week. If you're not getting your action steps done, I already know what kind of entrepreneur you're going to be. So you can call me as much as you want in the very beginning and say, like, Ebony, I'm ready to hit the ground running. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to do that. But it shows in your work ethic. And we all have things that happen. We all have things that come up. But if I ask you to create a bio, and 5 weeks later, and I even give you the opportunity for me to review it, edit for you, send you some pointers and so forth, and then I see 3 months later that I've never received your bio, then that kind of makes you be able, you might be one of those people that need to start back and get into your mindset. You might need to get your mindset where it needs to be before you start deep diving into investing, because that might not be your first step in business. So again, I'm always going to bet the house on myself. I feel like I'm going to be able to take a little more risk when I don't have little ones as much anymore. Because I'm always making sure that I'm not doing anything that would affect my family, you know what I'm saying? And put us in a situation, put my children in a situation. But anything above that, I'm going all in. I'm an all in kind of girl, you know what I'm saying? And I have some e-courses coming out, things like that cost a lot to create. But like you said, your return on investment is out of this world. And even a lot of times I get questions on, real estate investing and how to invest, even more than being a realtor. People want to know how to flip houses, how to do rental properties, like all that information. And I remember back when I was starting to learn, I was going to take a course that was going to cost me $5,000 for that course. Not only was I going to take the course, my husband was going to enroll the course, and my other son, Martise, was also going to enroll in the course. That was going to be $15,000 out of our family at one time for like a 10-week course. The only reason why we didn't do the course is because the pandemic came and everything got canceled, and they never put a course back into play. So what I decided to do, instead of waiting to be like, oh, well, let me just wait till it comes back up, wait for another business to put their course back on, I gave it a few weeks. I kept asking, are we going to get a schedule? Do we have a date? Do we have a proposal for a date? And when it didn't come, I said, I'm going to teach myself. And that's what I basically did. I deep dived right in, got another property, did a full reno, and that was like the biggest renovation I've ever done. So that's the reason why I wanted to actually take that course prior to, just making sure everything was in place. But a lot of people may say, $5,000 or $15,000 is a lot to put into, to invest. Like they can't even fathom coming up with that number or taking that amount of money to invest in themselves. And that flip was almost a $300,000 return for our family within 90 days of finishing it. So would you rather have your $300,000, or would you rather put $5,000 to $15,000 in to possibly be able to equate your ROI into $300,000? So it's like the more you put into yourself, especially when you've researched it, you know what you're doing, you're confident in yourself. And again, I'm not going to let myself down. So I'm never going to get in a situation where I'm going to be out. I'm going to learn a lesson in it, which I did. I learned tons of things. I learned, it's not the best situation to do that kind of reno in a pandemic. I've never lived in a pandemic before. So that was my first time seeing the world shut down, lumber go up. All types of things affected that project. But I came out of it victorious, because that's the only way I know how to move forward. You know what I'm saying? But again, a piece of it is that mindset as well. So I totally agree that, I'm willing to take risks, but I'm also willing to take smart risks. I'm willing to invest whatever I need into myself. I'm willing to save whatever. And a great thing, one thing that we didn't touch on that I want you to speak about too, is I always tell people, like, the best thing about me is I'm not into fashions. And matter of fact, I heard you speak on social media, but that's not me. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it makes it easier for me to achieve some of my goals, because people don't realize how much of their budget. I saw a meme recently that said, I can reach my $5,000 goal to save if I cook at home. You know what I'm saying? Just little things like that, where we spend a lot of money, on fast food, clothes, fashion, for women, hair, lashes, makeup, all of those things. And it's just like, I don't necessarily need or ever want it. And I don't know where it came from, but I just have never been that girl. So I realized that it helps me save and be able to do a lot more than the average female, because, even in the rap industry, I always hear them say that, taking on a female artist is way more of a budget than taking on a male artist, because we just have so much more to, get us to where we need to, reach our fullest potential. But I just have never been into that. only pair of name brand tennis shoes I've ever had in my entire life are the ones that you send me. So I've never had any, like, I've never been into like Foot Locker to buy myself a pair of tennis shoes. Like, I don't do things like that. I learned at a very young age how to do my own makeup, lashes, hair, like all of those things are just things that I've never really taken on. I've never been to like the fancy strip malls. Like, I've never been into like the Gucci store. Like, most of the things that I may have is something that has been gifted to me, and it's probably either by my husband or one of my children. My other son Martise just got me a pair of Uggs. Like, I'm not big into, like, I would never go like to the Ugg store and buy myself a pair of Uggs, even though they're nice and comfortable and snug, but it's just not a part of my day a little bit. So just speak on that as, you know, a young person and looking at social media and all of those things, and just making sure that you stay within your mindset when it comes to that as well, because I feel like that is also like a big piece of it.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely falls under the money mindset category, and it definitely goes under like sacrifice, like what you're willing to sacrifice. The book that I'm reading right now that I spoke earlier about, it actually talks about like success is nothing but basically sacrifice. Like, everybody wants the success, but how much are you willing to sacrifice? And I feel like you might not even know it just because now you're just so used to like, oh, I don't need to go do all of this or go buy the flyest clothes or the name brand stuff. So it's just like normal to you. And that's probably where I even got it from too. I don't like wear any designer or nothing. Like, I wish I would go give this rich white man, I wish I would go give any designer $5,000 when I can go put $5,000 into an investment account or a crypto and accumulate $15,000. So that's just the way I think. My money mindset. I'm not gonna go. And people might say, well, if you ain't got the money to do it, then just say that. Like, you can say whatever you want. I'm not going to the club and go buy a 400, 500 bottle of Hennessy that I can go to the Joe's liquor store and get for $35. That's just insane to me. So I don't care how much money I have, unless it's just like the most special occasion ever, then yeah, do it for the occasion one time. But you're never gonna see me just go and buy a designer or cashing out on all of this fly stuff, because that doesn't really mean anything. It's a picture out there of Jay-Z and Diddy with no chains, no jewelry, no nothing. And it's like, this picture is worth $1 billion right here, and it's not a chain in sight, not a watch in sight. So that really doesn't mean anything. It's all about sacrifice. So even the position that you in right now, the position I'm on my way to, like, people don't see behind closed doors the things that have been sacrificed to get to that. Like, I've always still been, you feel me, highly liked by many people, and never, you feel me, judged based off what I had to wear or anything like that. Like, I can never make fun of somebody for what they have to wear, because everybody's situation is different. Even going to school, like, I remember going to school wearing uniforms specifically, and I used to like doing it. Like, I got to the point where I'm like, man, I wish I was wearing a uniform again, because I'm tired of putting together outfits. And like, once I went to college, of course, there was no uniform, so you got to wear clothes again. But I'm like, in high school, I wore the same khakis every 3 times a week, so I'm not even worried about putting an outfit together. And now, like, I literally wear my brand every single day. You're gonna see me with a different EyeAmBrand shirt on, different EyeAm hoodie on. I am head to toe right now. Shorts, EyeAmBrand socks, all of that. I wear my own stuff, so it's like, if I can wear my own clothes, that saves a ton of money. Like, I was having a conversation the other day, and it was just a random conversation about 2 female celebrities, and I'm like, just imagine how much, I won't say the 2 celebrities' name it is, but I was just talking randomly. I'm like, just imagine how much money is in their closets. Like, if they had like a something's closet, like if you had Ebony's closet or something. I'm like, and with my money mindset, since we talk about money mindset, me, like, this how my money mindset is. If I have that level of like publicity or something like that, where I know people will like purchase clothes that I wear, I will sign every t-shirt. You want these F-cause I had on? Bet I'll wash them for you, all of that. You want my socks? I'm trying to make NFT. I'm turning my socks into NFTs, all of that. Like, you want it, you can have all of this stuff. So that's what, like, I just be thinking like that. Like, you know how much money? That's a car. That's a car that's in your closet right now. Like, if you take even half the designer shoes out your closet and put just half, not even all of it, half of the profits into the right investment account or the right cryptocurrency, the right investment period, property, a piece of land, LLC. Do you know how much you can get back in taxes for just having a certain number of LLCs? And that just go with your money mindset. Like, would I rather have 2 pairs of red bottom shoes, or would I rather have an LLC, some money left over, a business I just started, and I'm able to still put $500 into an investment account? So I'd rather just move like that. And real fast, just to touch back on the betting on yourself, I think I probably definitely get it from you 100%, because like I said, I'm going to bet on myself every single time. And it's interesting that you use the example that you was about to pay $15,000 for knowledge, for information. People want to pay for that information. And once you get into the entrepreneur world, you're going to start to realize that people charge for everything. Like, just because you're my friend or my buddy, or we grew up together since diapers, it doesn't matter. Like, if that's your price, I told one of my friends the other day, I was asking him, he has a fitness course he just launched, CME Fitness. Y'all go tap into that. I had asked him, I was asking him like about, I think it was some protein shakes or something. I was asking him about fitness related. And I literally told him, I'm like, bro, if I'm asking you too much, like, I'd be scared to ask you fitness stuff sometimes now, ever since you dropped your course, because I don't want to feel like I'm getting no free sauce. So if there's any questions I need to pay for, like on the course, just let me know and I'll go purchase the course, bro. Like, this has been my man for almost 10 plus years, went to high school together and all that. And I literally paid for him to get me a meal plan, use the same fitness routine he wrote up for me every day. Like, I pay for this stuff. And I feel like once you get into the world of entrepreneurship, like, it's not uncommon for people to have a price, because like you said, when people are doing stuff for free, people tend to waste your time. So it's like, I put a price on a lot of the information I do, because me, I'm sitting here, even if I'm just watching podcasts all day, I probably can quote most of the key gems out of that podcast because I'm so locked into it. So that's me taking my time to learn this information, or me taking my time to learn this knowledge on Forex or something like that. So I might charge $200 a month, $150 a month, something like that. Even if it's $500 a month, some days I might make $500 from right on my cell phone on this very couch in like 10 minutes. But I've took the time over years, like multiple months and years, to learn how to make that $500. So it's not just, I'm not charging you for like what I have right now. I'm not charging you for, the t-shirt, or I'm just using that as an example. I'm charging you for the process. I learned how to do this myself. I had to invest into a machine to make the t-shirts on my own, all of that type of stuff. So when people are asking you for certain prices and 15,000, 5,000, once people get into the thousands or the high hundreds, a lot of people get kind of startled and don't want to, like, oh, you charging that much? You charging that much? But you'll see the same people at Louis Vuitton or at Rolling Loud, Miami or whatever. Like, bro, I know you spent around that much on your fun activities. So that money mindset just all about sacrifice. Like, once I read that in a book, it was like success is based on your sacrifice, how much struggle you're willing to endure. And there've been times where like people don't even know half the stuff we done did. Like I be forgetting sometimes. Like, I literally was a little kid and we at the flea market selling the very hats that you have on your head right now. Like, jewelry, bracelets, all of that. Like, it's sacrifice, but I'll do it again and again and again to get to where we at now and where we going at. Like, you got to understand what's your why. You got to understand what you're doing it for. Like, if you're not doing it for yourself, and most importantly yourself, because like I tell people all the time, like, everything I do is for my mom, like, I'm the oldest of 4, so I got people watching me, so I'm doing it for them really. But then like it came a time, and I guess God was trying to show me something, and I was like, I am doing this for them. And it was actually my master's classes. I'm like, I want to prove to them I can get this master's. Like, I did the bachelor's, got it. Now if I can get the master's, like, that'd be, but I had to be realistic with myself. And that's what you talk about, setting realistic goals. I just was like, me personally, like, I know I can get the master's if I set my mind to it. I can do it, but it's just not something that makes me happy. Like, I don't personally enjoy school as much as I enjoy learning about investing. Like, school doesn't teach you how to flip a property, stuff like that. That's what interests me. Versus my little brother, he might like all the IT tech stuff in school. So the master's might be for him. So I'm going to push him. Hey, I'm going to pass you the ball, give you the alley-oop. You go get that master, you go get that doctorate. Man, once you get the doctorate, I'm going to show you how we going to invest and triple everything we just did. So now we're working together. So that just full circle back around to how my money, like, my money mindset be working and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely believe you have to sacrifice a ton in order to come up. Like you might take 1,000 losses before you get one W, but that one win with your risk to reward ratio, with me being an investor and a trader, we use risk to reward ratio. So I'm willing to risk this much and sacrifice, and I'll wear the same outfit every day. I'll wear the same shoes every day. I'll wear that in order to have a higher reward. So how much are you really willing to sacrifice, and how much are you really willing to risk will always come down to what the reward will be in the end.
Yeah, and that goes basically to what we were talking about in investing to create generational wealth. And I know you kind of spoke on that tier, and that's kind of like you said, that's something that I do want to achieve. I want to create, one day we all won't be here anymore, and have something for generations and generations to come so that they can pass the tier, and not necessarily even in real estate, but maybe in other things. I just don't want to have my grandkids and great grandkids and it's so on to ever be in that situation that we had to start in, start from the very beginning, give them some kind of leverage if possible, and build as much as I possibly can, because obviously we can't take it with us. But with that being said, I also have learned how to do what's best for me also. Everybody has to run their own race. So I don't want to get too engulfed. And again, this goes back to what I said again, just making sure that you're being smart about everything that you do. So I want to make sure that I am doing what I need to do for, my kids, but I also want to make sure I'm doing what's best for me. And that's something that I've implemented in just say the past 5 years, like trying to add in some things that make me happy and some things that I had goals to do. I can remember way back when I first met my husband, I had always told him that I was going to get a doctorate degree. So that's always been something that I wanted to do. Like, it's not something I'm being forced to do. It's something that, has been a goal of mine. And it's for a long-term goal because I have other things in mind to come from that. I'm always thinking about retirement, thinking about, like, my mind just goes way past the average person's 5-year goal. But with that being said, I start including things that I want to do, including self-care things, adding things in to, things I want to do. And I know people jokingly be saying F those kids, but it's not really that. It's really that you have to include in something that you want to do also. I can't spend my entire life just making everybody else happy. It doesn't work like that. I don't want to, do all of this to not be fulfilled at the end and not feel like I've accomplished some things that I want to accomplish. And I noticed when I started telling my children that, they started being like, okay, we want you to be happy. We want you to accomplish some things, and setting that space for me to be able to do that as well. But that's everybody's goal, is to, build generational wealth, build a life where the next level, is okay. And that kind of also trickles down to another thing that we were going to talk about briefly, is just kind of who did you get your money mindset from? I know your answer, but I was just going to say before I turn it back over to you, is that speaking on the generational wealth piece and where do you get your money mindset from? My parents were heavy into investing, entrepreneurship. Even though my dad also, and he still to this day has a 9-to-5, that was something that he loved. So we even see it to this day that, what he does in his full-time career is something that he even went to high school for. This has been something now it never felt like work to him. This is a passion of his. So even though he has tons of other businesses, has been an entrepreneur most of his life, he never let his 9-to-5 go, because that's what still brought him some peace. And people have to understand that too. We do, preach and teach building wealth, entrepreneurship, doing your own, getting your own, being your own boss and things like that. But it may be other things in life that make you happy that may not be exactly your entrepreneurship or your business, or it may involve going into, even if it's part-time, because that's what brings you your piece of self-care. And my dad has told me that several times, you take that from him, then he may fall into health issues and things like that, because that's his piece. Going in there, those are the guys he's been, working with forever. They, have fun, they crack jokes, he does all his work there. So he needs that. So we always say to him, we know you could have been retired 20 years ago. He doesn't want to. Like that's a piece of what he does while he runs his businesses. And that's okay for some people. So I always say, no matter what it is, just make sure that you're including that as well. But I kind of, not necessarily because my parents were really old school. And I've told this story before in my first book, The Fragrance of a Resilient Woman. I think I spoke about this on the EyeAmBrand podcast episode that I was on, that my parents were more like really, really traditional. So, a 2-parent home in Baltimore City. My parents are still married to this day. And even though they had all these businesses and things like that, they never really sat down and taught us, because we weren't from that school where you sit down and like have conversations. Like it used to be an adult table and the kids table, and the kids shouldn't come over here. You know what I'm saying? This was when, we from the era where you stay out of adult business. You stay at a child's place, all of those things. Were how we were raised. So the main thing that I took from it, and that's a big piece of it, where I always say, no matter what, even if, because I don't know if I'm telling my kids everything, I'm trying to, but maybe I'll miss a piece. So I always want to live that as well. I always want to be that. Like it's so many different paths that I could have taken. But I want to represent what I would want, my kids to be proud of. And I want them to represent, people that I would be proud of as well. And I want to walk in it. I don't want to just talk it. I want to make sure I'm living in everything that I'm speaking about, because not only will they hear what I'm saying, but maybe like I did as a kid, they'll pick up on those things. And clearly I've seen it. I have 2 adult children now, and I know they've picked up on, hundreds of thousands of things that I do. And one thing I will always say is, growing up, I knew that we had properties. So I just thought people had properties. They never had to come to me and have that conversation with me. I just grew up in it. I knew that, my parents own this hair salon. I knew that I can go in, right after middle school. I'm an 8th grader, 7th grader. I know when I get off the bus can let me off at my, a block or 2 away from my parents' salon, that I can walk there. I can wash my hair, use the products. I knew they were my parents' products. You know what I'm saying? I knew that these people worked for my parents. So it was just something it didn't have to be a discussion. It's just something naturally that I picked up on. I knew that the people upstairs were our tenants. So even while, verbiage like that, where my kids are even, at a young age, were able to know what tenants mean, where, sometimes I had my baby girl before say to me, like 3rd grade, like, this girl at my school said, what is real estate? And she just felt like, where do you come from? Who's your peoples that you never even heard? You don't know what real estate is? But it's just that, everybody is not, being raised in that, and being raised in that mindset where, like I said, I can remember at a young age, my parents owned vending machines. They never had a conversation with me before. The reason why I knew we owned it is because I could just go get the key from my mom's drawer, open and twist it, give me a bag of Skittles and lock it back. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't in trouble, anything. I knew that they were owned by us. I knew they weren't leased products. I would see my mom go to Sam's Club or those stores and refill them in the morning before people got there. You know what I'm saying? I knew that was our stuff. So it's just being a part of that as well, and just kind of just being on a journey of also trying to implement the same things, but also taking it to the next level and having those conversations with my children, because I don't believe in, the old school way of learning the hard way. No, we don't have to learn the hard way. Somebody can tell us the mistakes that they did and help us not make them. I don't want to make my first investment property a $50,000 mistake. You know what I'm saying? Why? My kids don't need to do that. I can tell them what my mistakes were. I can tell them what I heard other people's mistakes were. We were talking about that earlier. Just going over different things. Like if I know you're starting a business or you have an idea about this, like don't just wing it. Come to us, get some advice. Let us know what you're trying to do. We can tell you everything we know. It's no holding back. Any and everything that I know, I'm willing to share. And maybe I don't know some things. So you might make a mistake here and there, but you're not going to make as many mistakes as the generation prior to you. I can promise you that, by just having that mentorship, especially because we know, like you said, most businesses are not going to give it away for free. So at some points, all you have is your circle of people that you trust. And I highly recommend that. everybody should have somebody that they trust. I mean, they should have somebody that they're willing to go to, somebody, and I'm not even going to use the word trust, somebody that you know genuinely has your best interest at heart. Let me reword that. Somebody that you know is not going to purposely and intentionally do anything to steer you in the wrong direction. Like, they are going to give you whatever they can, even if it's advice, because some people think that that comes in the form of, you know, money, and people look at it financially, but I don't think that people look at to, you know, advice. I mean, if you teach somebody how to build a house, they can build homes forever. You know what I'm saying? It's something that they can build on that knowledge, because now they have that information. That's why I've always been really, really big into education. And I spend a lot of money to get my kids the best education that I can possibly afford, because I just feel like no matter what, nobody can take that from you. You know what I'm saying? It might be a lot of moving parts around you, but once you get that, you know, unless some kind of, you know, thing comes where you lose it for some health reasons, but you know, your brain, nobody can take the knowledge from you. That's going to always be there. And a lot of times it's going to be in the back of your mind. So you might, even somebody that might be out there kind of not on the right path, a lot of times that kicks in to be like, you know what, this ain't the right thing. Like, that's an instinct there for a reason, because you know better. You know why you know better? Because you were taught better. So then I started, you know, implementing and letting my kids know too, when you know better, do better. Like, it's not just a saying. When you know better, do better. Do what's right. Do what you know you should be doing. Don't waste life. Don't waste time just doing on anything. And they might feel like, you know, that's taking all the fun out of life, because I get that a lot too, where people think we don't have fun. You know what I'm saying? People think we don't have a good time. And people think that, you know, because I talk budget and expensing, that we don't, you know, ball till we fall. But we just do it in different aspects. When it's the time and when it's the place. You know, when we take a vacation, you know, we take a vacation. You know what I'm saying? It's no price limit. It's no anything concierge. Like, my kids love, you know, the lavish life. They love anything that we can have. They love the concierge service to come and bring food to the room. Anything the best, finest restaurants, anything that we could possibly do, you know, that's what we do, because it's vacation time. You know, it's a time and place for everything. But then when that's done, then we move on to getting back structure, getting back discipline. We had a good time. Now it's time to move on to the next thing. And then maybe in a month or two, you know, we'll be back on vacation again. It just depends on, but it's a balance to everything.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with everything you just said, even from the creating generational wealth. I actually was watching Wall Street Trapper. I like Wall Street Trapper a lot. I like Wall Street Trapper, Derek Grace, guys like that. Like, I be looking at, of course, I like speaking, going to the money mindset question. Who do you get your money mindset from? Of course, I get it from you. But besides you, like, I always known, like, my grandparents, like you said, we had the vending machine, because I know I get out of elementary school, I can go get the key and go get me some chips and a Gatorade, and nothing gonna happen. Like, I know if I go to my grandmother's shop, I can get me some snacks there for $0. So I know about that and stuff. But besides you, I didn't really know too many people who was like into investing and I be saying this all the time, like, bro, I wish at Mount Carmel, why in high school they didn't tell us about Forex and trading, or in college, like, I wish I was trading in college and stuff like that. So besides you with the money mindset, like, it don't have to be, like you said, somebody who you necessarily love, but somebody who you can, like, know has your best interest and stuff like that. Somebody who you like looking, you feel me, they on the right path. So Wall Street Trapper, Derek Grace, like, I like people who is creating generational wealth, but like started with a little bit, not people who, like, somebody might have gave them a $500,000 trust fund. Now they built a business like that. Like Wall Street Trapper, he recently got out of prison a few years ago, and now he's a multi-millionaire off of stocks and investing and stuff like that. And what he said was, you can't work your way to wealth. You have to invest your way there. And what a lot of people in the Black community, you always hear, like, hard work pays off, hard work pays off. So with me only being 24, like, I've been saying this for like 2 years, I believe in smart work over hard work. Like, why would I work harder when I can work smarter? So we got to evolve our mind and our money mindset to that. Yes, hard work does pay off, but why work harder when you can work smarter? Like, That's what I'm real big on that. So investing to create generational wealth, I'm big on that. And also like going back to that, your circle, like the people that's in your circle, you gotta have like-minded people around you, people who you know you can trust and fall back on. If it is an audible, you know they got your best interest, things like that. And if you're a giver, and I know you are one of the biggest givers I know, like that's where I get it from, giving, giving, giving. If you a giver, you have to have limits because takers don't have any. Takers will just take, take, take. So yeah, when you brought it to our attention, we was young, but when you brought it to our attention, I'm like, of course I'll sit out of this activity. Of course I'll do this so that you can go do something you like. And that's the type of people you want around you. Like, oh, I didn't know that I was weighing you down, or I didn't know that you needed this help in this area. Of course I'm willing to do this. And that's the people that's want to get to that next level with you while you trying to build and elevate.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I see so many people do that where they like, I'm giving it all to my children. This is for my children. And it's just like, yeah, but if you're not well, then your children are not well. And then sometimes you turn around and look and it's like, but your children don't seem that happy. You know, they kind of seem miserable sometimes. So it's like, you think you're providing and giving them all of these like materialistic things and working for this and this lifestyle. You know, I often hear my clients say that all the time. You know, I don't want to pay this much in mortgage because I want to maintain my kids' lifestyle. And that's not saying that they should go higher in their mortgage payment, but I just never understood, like, what are your kids' lifestyle? Because I'm sure that's something that you develop so you can change that as quickly as you put that into place. I can remember plenty of times for us to get the next level when we were trying to start our portfolio of investment properties sometimes. And I hear people, when I say this to them, like, can you get a short-term rental for like 3 months until you stack a little bit of money? And then, maybe you can take one property and rent it, go into a short-term rental for 3 to 6 months, and then get you another property. And now, bam, you got 2 properties. But they think about it like, no, I can't put my kids into, a 2-bedroom apartment for 6 months. And how is it going to look to my family and friends? And I'm just like, well, I used to do it all the time, you know what I'm saying? Like, and people don't know that part because it ain't really even nothing to tell your family and friends. Like, you know how quickly 3 to 6 months will go by. We still did plenty of things. I remember one time we got a rental purposely on the water, which probably is a more higher rental than some people, but it was cool to live on the water for a year, always go fishing, do all types of things. But that was a rental when we owned $500,000 already worth of real estate. But that was our first step to make the next step, So it was just like, all right, to get to the next level, this is the sacrifice that we have to make. And we were there. I mean, it was fun times for us. And we also had some miserable times. I think that place had 1 bathroom and we was just like, we left a house that had like 5 bathrooms to go to this 1 bathroom. But we dealt with it, and we dealt with it as a family. And I remember we used to still invite people over. I mean, we had the TV set up on like a whole thing of boxes or something like that, like, and still basically was playing board games, having a good time, and just making the best out of it so time can go. And we have so many videos and memories from that time. But it's like, I feel like people are, afraid to be uncomfortable. And that's something that I've been hashtagging since the beginning of 2022. It's uncomfortable season for me. And that's just kind of how I feel. My mindset is that, no matter how much people think I already have, and I mean, we all know what went behind it. I didn't just start here, you know what I'm saying? A lot of sacrifice, discipline, consistency, everything, but I'm not at the level that I, ultimately want to be at. I still have some goals. I still have some things. So for me, it's uncomfortable season. It's time for me to get back in an uncomfortable zone. It's time for me to get back to the roots of things and take myself to that next level to be a little bit uncomfortable for a little while. And I'm okay with that. And I think that goes back to, what's the risk? What are you willing to risk? And again, for the next few stages of my career and the next few things that I have in mind for my goals, then I'm risking a lot and I'm putting it all in and I'm making sure that, if I'm comfortable, then I'm not sacrificing enough. That's where I want to get my mindset in. If I still feel like, my days are going really smooth, then I haven't got to uncomfortable season where I need to get at to make sure I'm putting everything that I can put in. within my sleep parameters and everything else that we discussed, and still just make sure that I'm back in to, you know, putting my all and making sure that nothing around me can take from that. And I like what you said about, you know, work smart, not hard. My dad taught me that years ago. So sometimes I know people have a passion for certain things, but when I hear sometimes people come to me in their 40s, 50s, you know, late 50s, and they're coming up with business ideas that might not be the smartest, like, you know, for where they are in life. And I'm just like, you know, it's so many ways to make residual income. Why would you come up with a business where, you know, you have to be backbreaking and up on a ladder and doing all these things where, you know, that may not last for long, and you're just starting your business out and you have to build a team. And, you know, sometimes it takes people a few years to get that going. So you might be the groundwork person, you know what I'm saying? And it's easy to basically not be successful or as successful as you may think you're going to be when you're starting out those things, where, not saying not to do it. But I'm always trying to think smart. I'm always thinking of business and things that will make money, and I'm not standing there. You know what I'm saying? Because again, when I did catch my gems from my dad, he would always say things like that. Like, basically, when you're a real entrepreneur, when you're a real business owner, that's when your business can successfully continue to work and you're in another country.
Right.
The whole process is flowing, that your day-to-day operations are still moving, and I'm not here right now. Maybe I'm there doing business. Maybe I'm there for play. You know, it doesn't matter, but that's when you get to that next level where, you know, I want to sit down and be smart about the next move. I want to be smart about what I'm going to do. So by the time I speak about it, and not saying it's very calculated, but it's very structured. Like, when I speak on something, it's something that I've already kind of done my due diligence. I know the process. I know what I need to do. I know how much I need. I know the sacrifice. You know, I know the long hours associated with it. And I'm willing to take that leap because, again, I'm not going to let myself down. So I'm never going to fail at the end because I'm not going to let myself fail. And even if I say, well, it's going to take me 6 months and it takes me 24 months, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to give up. It's going to just take me a little longer, a little extra step. So it doesn't mean that I'm not successful because it took me a little bit of time. But when I get to that 24th month and everything is exactly how it should be, things are moving smoothly, money's coming in, revenue's happening, everything is in process, then, you know, it's all going to pan out. And then I can move to the next thing. My old broker used to have this thing that he used to call the bumblebee effect, where people kind of, you ever met this person that's like, I do hair, but I also make clothes, but I also do real estate, but I also make mugs, and I also do crops, and I also do eyelashes. You know, it's just, and I'm also a nurse. Like, it's just like, you trying to do all over the place, but you hadn't mastered anything. And the old saying used to be, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. And that's a real saying, but the new version of it that he said to me is just kind of bumblebee. You're buzzing all over the place and you haven't locked in on one thing. So it's okay to do all of those other things, but, you know, you haven't mastered anything. So I really try my best to make sure that on top of all the businesses and other things that I'm doing, I have several things that I've mastered. You know, I've done my 10,000 hours and they're moving and operating without me needing to put as much focus as I did in the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? So I always say that's a good mind frame to be in. And not only am I hashtagging uncomfortable season, I'm hashtagging 10,000 hours because I've mastered some things. You know, I want to give myself credit for that. I was going to say real quick, somebody said to me the other day when I was like, yeah, because I need to finish my homework. And they were like, homework? What are you doing now? And I was like, I'm finishing my doctoral program. And they was like, oh, I thought you had finished that. Like, I already had that you was a doctor. And I was like, no, I haven't finished that. I still have another year in the program. And they were basically saying, like, because you always doing something. I just thought that was, you know, completely finished already. And I was just like, no, that's something that, you know, I'm still doing, still, you know, moving through the program and so forth. But, you know, I haven't completely finished it yet. But some people will just assume because you might be, you know, doing so many different things and have so many different things going on, where it's hard to speak on, you know, every little thing. And sometimes honestly, I kind of am embarrassed at sometimes to speak on everything because I was like, some people will think I'm a crazy person, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm doing so many different things that they're just like, Ebony, that's crazy. And sometimes I'll tell people like, don't try to do what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I make sure I tell people like, get your one or two things you want to master. Do not try to do this yet. You know what I'm saying? That this might not be your level yet, but you will get to a point. But don't be afraid to implement one or two things, but just make sure that you master one of them. Like try to be smart and set smart goals and make sure that you're working smart when you're doing things and making sure that you have something that could possibly even be a residual income idea. Like what is something that, when you're coming up with your business plan and all of that stuff, like what's something that I can do as an add-on or additional stream that I don't have to sit there all the time. Just like how you say your merch, that's something that can work itself. You can put your merch on your website, advertise your merch, but you don't have to sit there when somebody goes in to make, a payment to purchase and support the business. So those are residual things that I think everybody, no matter what career you're in, whatever industry and so forth, to kind of a part of your money mindset, like setting that plan on what ideas can I do to, make money. And that's pretty much our last topic. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but the just types of investments. I know we talked about a few things, but like what's some ideas that's like your top things, and not even if you're giving it advice for other people, but like maybe some things that you are looking to invest in or do, or what's some ideas on different types of investments that could go along with preparing your mindset.
Types of investment, the list is literally endless. My best advice is to invest in the things that you do daily, invest in the things that you're purchasing daily. That's why like stocks is a good thing. If you go to Walmart, get a Walmart stock. If you big on PlayStation and you donating a bunch of money to PlayStation controllers, you in GameStop, you in the PlayStation store buying the cards for points and stuff, invest in the PlayStation stock. Most of the stuff out here have a stock. Probably more than 50% of females out here love Target. All ladies love going to Target, Sephora, things like that. Invest in their stock. If you look at it, most people probably got different stocks, even like Victoria's Secret and stuff. You can find that like under other stocks. So it might be like inside of a stock. Like I know S&P 500 have like over 500 different companies inside of one. Invest in the S&P stock. So stocks is definitely a big one. I'm big in investing in stocks, cryptos. I'm big on cryptos, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Forex. That's my main thing I invest in. And I wouldn't even say Forex because Forex is mainly like currencies. I actually trade indices like NAS 100. Sometimes I might trade gold a little bit, which is a commodity. But Forex, cryptos, stocks, you can do municipal bonds, you can do trust fund accounts, you can do, like I said, commodities, stock funds. It's a bunch of ways you can invest. I just would recommend that you guys invest in the things you're using in your everyday life as far as stocks, and then anything else that you want to invest in, do your research on it. Like don't just invest in something because somebody's saying it's hot. Like if y'all know, last year, Meek Mill said everybody go buy Bitcoin. Everybody went to go buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin shot to the ground. And everybody was like, Meek don't know what he's talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You shouldn't have got in there just because a celebrity told you to go get in there. And the same thing happened again this year. Odell Beckham, he took half his salary in Bitcoin, and I think it was like a $400,000 portion he was supposed to get or something like that. And then right now, he only received, I think, $35K off of that deal, because he accepted it in Bitcoin. So he can put it back in Bitcoin and wait for it to go back up. But always do your research before investing in something. Like make sure you're making a smart investment is always what I would tell people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Obviously, I teach and preach building wealth through real estate, but I also have been in the stock market for years, mutual funds, bonds, and sometimes people don't understand, like you said, when one thing is up, then the other thing is down. So that's right. Even with real estate right now, home prices are up, but interest rates are down. So everybody's like, well, should I wait until the home prices come down or until, the market crash and things like that. People are looking for, like we spoke about earlier, they're looking for what happened, basically over a decade ago to happen again. And it's like, but the same things are not in place. Like then the auto industry crashed. Like it was a ton of things that, created that bubble to pop. We don't have those things in place right now. We do have a pandemic. But now nothing's on shutdown, nothing's locked down. Everybody's living their lives, with or without masks, whatever their, taste may be, but everybody's doing their own thing again. So it's like, the market always, what we call, corrects itself, meaning that, it's not going to be a seller's market forever. It will eventually, turn into a buyer's market. But what people don't understand, again, when one thing is up, another thing may be down. So we might go to a buyer's market and buyers have more of the advantage, but then those buyers may also be paying a higher interest rate. So you just got to educate yourself, because I feel like a lot of first-time buyers don't really think about interest rates. And that's another topic, for another Finance Friday, is just learning about interest. People don't think about that. They just say, well, give me a place where the payment is at least $1,200 a month. But if you're paying half of that in just interest, then I don't know if that's smart. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's the best thing to do. So just making sure that people understand what goes behind all of that as well. But like you said, I've always been big into like money market accounts. People don't know a lot about that. They just stick money when they're trying to save into a savings account. And that's something I put into place for all of my kids like years ago, where they had, different mutual funds, bonds, stocks, money market accounts, and all of those things when they were a lot younger. And I know everybody kind of sees me meet with my investment lady a lot of times. She's basically become like almost a family member, where, I sit and meet with her. Everybody knows when she comes through, but she has like portfolios on us and folders and things like that. And that's, to me, and that goes back to, find one person that you really can open up about, because sometimes I tell her, I'm like, nobody really knows how we function over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if I want her to help me, then I have to tell her how much I really made. I have to tell her all of our, properties that we own. I have to tell her everything about our situation and our kids' situation and how many accounts we have. Like, I really have to reveal that to her so she can help us and make sure everything is structured where it needs to be. So like you said, that goes back to do your research, know who you are meeting with, know who you putting, things in those people's hands and so forth. Obviously, with real estate, it's tons of different ways to invest. I mean, it's not just being a realtor. I always highly recommend that people get their real estate license, even if they, only want to do it for investments, because it helps educate you. That goes back to, taking a few weeks out your month to educate yourself on contracts, all types of different things, learning the laws where you live at in real estate. If you want to be an investor, that's the easiest way to do it versus just putting it all into somebody else's hands. And I always say it's a great way to make lump sums of money to support your investment business. Even under investments, I mean, you can do fix and flips, you can do buy and holds, you can do full rentals. Like I always, a lot of times, teach the BRRRR method, and that's, fixing properties to a little bit of the renovation as well as still holding the property. So it's just so many different ways. I know people that do wholesaling. We consider that the quick check. Buy and hold, we consider that the forever check. Flips, we consider that the fat check, because that's when you just get a large lump sum of money, you sell the property, you in and out. But like you said, there's so many different ways to invest. I always say, to me, it's never a right or wrong thing. Everybody has their jush. Everybody has what they do. We were talking about that together over Christmas break. Like, you might be heavy on one side, and I'll educate you on my side. Educate me. We always are trying to say, teach us that Forex, all that stuff, because I don't know that as much. I have somebody that handles a lot of my accounts, but I don't know it as much as I know the real estate. So that's what these Finance Fridays are about, like us just putting out so much information as much as we can. Hopefully people like the yin and the yang. You have a great point of view from, your age bracket, and, like you mentioned the metaverse, all those things, I barely know anything about that stuff from when you guys tell me, you know what I'm saying? So, and I know you're heavy into knowing all that metaverse stuff and everything with that. So I look forward to, this being a new segment for us being able to get out as much information, as much knowledge as we possibly can. I look into, the future. Hopefully, maybe we can do some live streams, take some questions, because I know after people view this, they may have tons of different questions. Again, it's hard to touch on everything. We were supposed to make this a really short segment and just in conversation get to going about all types of things, but
this is how we naturally talk. So it's just conversation. We might run on forever about this, but yeah, this was a great Finance Friday. I definitely the live stream and all of that with people on there. Like I think that people are definitely gonna enjoy these a lot, and more importantly, learn from it. Like a lot of people just be watching stuff just for like entertainment, but getting it from you, we like watching stuff with more substance. Like how can I watch something and learn from this? Whether it's about life, finances, and financial literacy is at the top of the list for the number one thing that you need to learn right now, and that most colleges not even teaching you. So definitely we look forward to keep doing these Finance Fridays, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. And I thank you so much for taking this time out. Like you said, we do this. I mean, I think we talked like 2 hours before we even got to record.
Literally.
And was still able to muster up all of this information. So I'm excited. Again, I'm going to get all of your information. If you're interested in learning Forex, day trading, Mhonte has his own team, EyeAmBrand. He has a mental health podcast. The podcast, I'll put the link and all of that stuff in the description, put all of your information where they can find you if you're interested in getting into that. Obviously, if you're interested in building wealth through real estate, Mhonte actually just finished his real estate course in his region as well. So we'll be, talking deeper into that as the weeks to come. Different regions and how real estate is. And, some people don't always want to invest in their area. Sometimes they want to, I want to get some houses down in Miami and all of that other stuff, and just kind of touching base on some of those things as well. So just click on everything in the description, support as much as you can. We're going to keep supporting you guys to give you as much information, as much knowledge as we possibly can. Thank you again for tuning in for another episode of the Working Mom podcast with my very, very, very special guest, EyeAmBrand CEO.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it.